Ooh, god dang. Man, कैसे भाई बहनों मैं हूँ. Ladies and gentlemen, if it's something about social media, I find most social media services to be pretty useless, okay? To be honest with you, when it comes to Facebook, I often wonder who's actually using it. Now, the last time I really heavily talked about Facebook, we were laughing at them tanking because they decided that let's put all of our eggs into the metaverse. A lot of companies recently, hopefully most of them, have finally got the idea that the metaverse isn't new, Reselling Second Life, RuneScape, GTA Online, World of Warcraft, basically Fortnite, any online experience is this social gathering hub on the blockchain with Web3 technologies. Hey guys, do you know on the internet, you too can hang out in a 3D space with your friends? Wait, all of you have been doing that already? But what about with the goggles? Yeah, I think most companies have realized wearing cumbersome goggles that last for an hour and a half on battery life and talking with people around you while nobody has legs, you can't get super close, is not exactly the best experience. Maybe it might have made sense during the pandemic, when we were all stuck inside our house, but now that we can all go outside and see each other like normal people, yeah, requiring a virtual space has sort of lost its luster. Now, of course, Facebook, Meta, put all their eggs into that basket, tanked their stock value, and of course, recently they've actually been succeeding. If you've looked at Meta, they've been recovering. They've been doing better, mostly because Mark Zuckerberg, the God King himself of Facebook, has pretty much reassured people that, yeah, we're going to be focusing on Facebook, Instagram, and WhatsApp. Primarily, they're three biggest platforms where most people just go and share cat photos and cooking videos where they just make everything with cheese. That's a whole different side tangent. Let's just back off from there. Now, of course, when it comes to these services, I've generally only noticed older people in my life using it. My aunt communicating with my grandparents. Same with my mom. Normally haven't seen a lot of young people use it, except for Instagram. A lot of young people do use that. It is a very popular application. But of course, Facebook's big money is, of course, their range of social media applications. It's where they sell a bunch of ads. It's where, they've got a big chunk of their user base sitting around. Look, it's a lot palatable to sit down and scroll through a feed than put on a goddamn goggle and enter the metaverse, okay? Especially when the content isn't exactly new, right? You're not really revolutionizing anything. Now, of course, one of the reasons why I wanted to make this video, and if you can really get by the title of it, is don't give this service your money. Facebook has apparently decided that it's logical for them to be charging $11 a month. I think it's like $15 or $14 if you're on the iPhone because they want you to pay for that Apple tax. So you can, believe it or not, have some paid verification. Now, of course, this is one of the channels that ended up from Mark Zuckerberg, who I'm surprised there are people who are considering this to be a good idea, considering the fact that Twitter Blue isn't exactly selling like hotcakes, okay? People still rip on another person like, haha, this MF paid for Twitter, ha ha ha, wow, what a dumbass. If you look at services like Google, Microsoft, these aren't necessarily social media services, but they do provide a lot of back-end stuff that people love, okay? They provide a lot of backup solutions. They provide a lot of services that small businesses, corporate clients, and even the average person would consider paying for. Apple does the same. Microsoft does the same. But Facebook is literally just a social media hub. The moment you start charging people or adding monetization schemes is the moment they start to pry away. Look, at the end of the day, you want people flooding your social media service and posting shit to it. They don't want to be like segregated. But of course, Mark Zuckerberg was like, good morning, new product announcement. This week, we're starting to roll out Meta Verified. Oh yeah, a subscription service that lets you verify your account with a government ID, getting a blue badge. Now, I'm going to stop right here, okay? First off, anybody that covets check marks, again, needs to be medically reassessed, okay? It's really like a vanity test, in my opinion. Like, hey, do I need to have this blue check mark? Do I really need to do I really need to, like, stand out from the other crowds on social media, right? Like, at the end of the day, it's wild when you have to pay to verify yourself. Now, of course, government IDs, right? This is literally Facebook's business model, spying and selling user data. Except now they're literally getting you to pay them to get your user data. It's wild to me that there's people out there that trust any service out there, any third-party social media service with their government state IDs. Okay, this is something that you're typically like, it used to be a decade ago, people were like, don't give them your ID if you don't have to, right? Don't give them something, don't give your social insurance number, your SSN, if you don't have to. Literally, they've got services for like $12 a month where people are incentivized to give them their government ID. I have been removed from Instagram. I have an account banned simply because I have been banned for impersonating myself. Now, Facebook was like, hey, just give me your driver's license. We'll verify you and get you right back into it. First off, I'm not going to give you, Mark, my ID, okay? I don't care about Instagram that much. I had like 20 followers, mostly my family and friends anyways. You think I care if people can't see me, like, post a selfie? No, keep the banned account. No one cares. But it's wild when they can ask you for your government ID then and still not choose to actually give you a blue check mark. Now, of course, they tell you you get extra impersonation protection against accounts claiming to be you. You know, this almost feels like we're entering an era where social media services in their late stage are figuring out, damn, maybe we can blackmail the user base in a way. Like, think about how stupid that sounds. You sign up to their service, right? And in order to get the extra impersonation protection, you have to actually pay them to do their job. Imagine, okay, being somebody that is prominent, being somebody that, you know, doesn't want to be impersonated, so they don't want, you know, images of them saying some wild shit on your social media service, and yet instead of, you know, doing the basic, you know, requirement to protect them from actual impersonators, you are deciding to go out of your way to just charge them. Imagine if somebody couldn't afford it and all of a sudden you get like somebody impersonating to be them and just like pretending to say some really outlandish shit, make themselves look really bad. You are actually trying to get people to pay you to do a basic thing like protect their identity, or at least prove that it is actually them. It's so wild to me that people are willing to pay for what I believe should be actually free and on the and basically a requirement from the social media service. Yeah, pay us so that we can protect your identity from being impersonated? Like, what? Get direct access to customer support. I think for $12 a month, customer support should be wiping my balls, all right? This is literally paying for antivirus services, okay? Except this is specifically relegated to just Facebook. This new feature is about increasing authenticity and security across our services. You know, let's be honest, let's just call it what it is. Facebook made one of the biggest dumb plays with the metaverse, where it eventually tanked their company's value to the point where they had to lay off tens of thousands of employees in amongst a global tech series where everyone was laying off like 8 to 10% of their workforce. Because A, you know, the economy is kind of bad, all right, inflation is through the roof, and of course these tech companies have absolutely spent more money than they should have on dumb shit. But of course, in Facebook's case, it's like the weirdest way for them to actually gain some leverage of money back. Right now, they're testing this in Australia and New Zealand, and I can't imagine there would be a lot of people that are willing to go out of their way to pay just for a blue check mark and some slight checks on their impersonation. It's wild to me that we're reaching a point where social media companies are literally selling the ability to actually put in effort to make sure you're not being badmouthed, you're not being impersonated by a bunch of scammers out there. It's super wild to me that they've, like, as big as these services have gotten, it's like, hey, you don't want to have somebody scam with your identity? You don't want to have somebody pretend to be you and say some wild shit? Just pay us, guys. And not only pay us, please also provide us government-backed state IDs so we can just harvest them on our servers. Mark Zuckerberg is literally trying to find a way to have his cake and then buy another goddamn cake and stuff his face full. You know, it's not bad enough. Facebook's entire business model is built around spying on you, but somehow they're trying to create products where you actually pay them to store, to literally, to literally harvest your data. It's so bad that these companies, instead of like, you know, providing a service for free and then knowingly harvesting our data, like that used to be the deal with the devil, right? Like, hey, here's a social media service. It's free, because we're harvesting your data and selling it to third parties. Now it's like, hey, please pay us, you know, $12 a month, or almost over $100 a year, and then also provide us the information we want to harvest. Fucking clown world that we live in. And honestly, it's one of those things where the people that are paying for this, are like the litmus test for like, you know, who actually is brain dead in society and who is actually still here. If Meta actually expects this to work, they are insane. Nobody should be paying them money to be verified on their services, even if you're a business, okay? Forget that. Nobody should have their identity held hostage by this service just so if they want to be protected, they have to actually put in their pound of flesh. I'm sorry, Facebook. It should be your requirement already, no matter what, to prevent impersonation on your services. And then to verify and give some blue checkmark badge as if that actually even really means anything at the end of the day and still requires to provide you all forms of ID just so you can do it is bafflingly shocking to me anyways. But I wanted to talk about it because we're literally entering an era where like these social media companies have actually been beaten so hard that their forms of monetization are hilarious. Literally the other day, all right, Twitter, you know, literally tried to like, they put the two-factor authentication check for SMS behind a paywall. Literally imagine charging your customers a premium fee to get access to an inherently weak form of two-factor authentication. It's the weirdest forms of monetizations that we're seeing. It's not even just Twitter or Facebook. Netflix literally is cannibalizing on itself by preventing its users from knowingly using VPNs, which is a big chunk of their user base, and cracking down on password sharing, which ultimately gives them more brand harm than any actual gain. Wild world we're living in. But I wanted to talk about this because, yes, do not give your money to Facebook. Do not give your money to Twitter. Don't give your money to any of these services. They provide nothing in return, especially social media services. And it's a weird world we live in where your impersonation is entirely dependent on if you're willing to pay them to actually do what they should be doing in the first place. Wild shit. Anyways, this is me, Mutahar, and I'm out.